It all started one humid Saturday morning in early June when my father, Mr. Richard Collins, announced that he wanted to celebrate his 90th birthday in grand style. My father had always been a man of pride, strong, wise, and respected in our community. Even in his old age, he stood tall, his gray hair glistening under the morning sun, his voice still full of command. "Children," he said, tapping his cane against the tiled floor, "I want my 90th birthday to be something people will remember." My mother, Gloria Collins, smiled weakly. "We will make it beautiful, Richard. You deserve it." We, his children, looked at one another. There were 5 of us: Diana, Patricia, Marcus, Louis, and me, Teresa Collins, the youngest. Daddy wanted a big celebration, something that would bring old friends, church members, and neighbors together. He had been a community leader in his youth, known for his wisdom and generosity. It felt right to honor him in such a way. But deep inside, I sensed something. A quiet fear. People don't always remember kindness when the years pass. For weeks, our house buzzed with activity. Decorations filled every corner, and the air smelled of roasted chicken, jollof rice, and freshly baked pies. The event planner, Mrs. Ellis, a cheerful woman with bright red glasses, kept everyone on their toes. "Remember," she said, "this is not just a birthday party, it's a celebration of legacy." We rented tents, chairs, tables, and hired a live band. Daddy personally called his old friends, some from as far back as his military days. "I've sent out over 100 invitations," he boasted proudly. "They'll come, my dear. They'll come." But I noticed the hesitation in some people's voices when he called them. "Ah, Mr. Collins." "We'll try our best," they said. Try your best. That phrase always meant no. The night before the celebration, the house felt both excited and heavy. The cooks worked late, music rehearsals echoed in the backyard, and family members argued over seating arrangements. "Diana, stop stressing." Patricia snapped. "I just want it perfect," Diana replied, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Daddy deserves this." Meanwhile, Daddy sat quietly in his chair, looking through an old photo album. I watched him smile at pictures of himself in his 20s, 30s, and 40s, surrounded by friends, colleagues, and neighbors who had once filled his life. "Daddy," I said softly, "you look happy in these pictures." He chuckled. "Those were good days, baby girl. I had brothers all around me. Life was full then." He looked out the window, eyes misty. "I just hope they remember me now." I swallowed hard. "They will, Daddy." But my voice betrayed me. The sun rose beautifully that Sunday morning. The compound sparkled with gold and white decorations. The aroma of food filled the air. The band tuned their instruments. Mom wore a long silver gown. Daddy wore a white agbada with gold embroidery. He looked royal. By 10 a.m., we were all ready. The photographer set up his camera, the MC tested the mic, and the catering team lined the buffet tables. But the chairs, all 150 of them, remained empty. "Maybe they're stuck in traffic," Diana said nervously. "Yes," Marcus added quickly. "Give them time." Daddy sat smiling, waiting. Hours passed. 11 a.m. No one came. 12 noon. Still no one. The band started playing softly just to fill the silence. Daddy's smile began to fade. By 1 p.m., only a few neighbors dropped by briefly, some to greet and leave, others just to peep and move on. "Maybe people forgot," Patricia whispered. Mama forced a smile. "No, they didn't forget." But her trembling hands said otherwise. I'll never forget the sight of Daddy sitting among rows of empty chairs. The sun beat down, and the decorations fluttered in the wind. The MC tried to lift the mood, cracking jokes, calling out non-existent guests. "Let's clap for the celebrant," he said. We clapped, the only ones clapping. Tears burned behind my eyes. Daddy's eyes scanned the gate every few minutes. He kept asking, "Is Pastor Johnson here yet? What about Mr. Miles? Or Thomas?" No one came. At 2 p.m., Mama called us together. "Let's not let this ruin his day," she said. We gathered around Daddy, our glasses raised. "To the man who gave us everything," Marcus said. "To Daddy," we all echoed. "To Daddy." He smiled faintly, his voice shaky. "Thank you, my children. You being here is enough for me." But I saw the pain in his eyes. He had expected the world, and only his family showed up. After lunch, Daddy sat quietly in his armchair. The band had stopped playing. The guests had eaten and gone to rest. "Daddy," I said gently, "maybe people just got busy." He chuckled sadly. "Busy? I wasn't too busy when they needed me. I helped them get jobs, paid hospital bills, stood by them in their dark days. But now they've moved on." He sighed deeply. "That's life, Teresa. You give your all, and in the end, it's your family that stays." I held his wrinkled hands. "We're here, Daddy. We'll always be here." He smiled weakly. "That's all that matters now." We decided to take family photos anyway. Mama, in her sparkling silver dress, held Daddy's hand tightly. The grandchildren stood around, trying to look cheerful. "Say cheese," the photographer said. Daddy forced a smile, one that broke my heart. When the camera clicked, I realized that though no outsiders had come, this moment, this family picture, was worth more than 100 absent guests. When night fell, the house grew quiet. The decorations drooped, the food was mostly untouched, and the air smelled faintly of disappointment. Daddy called us all into the living room. "Children," he began slowly, "today taught me something." We leaned in. Never measure love by the number of people who show up when you call. Measure it by those who never leave your side. Tears filled Mama's eyes. He continued, "I spent years trying to please the world. But at 90, I realize my real legacy sits right in front of me." We all cried softly. Later that night, Mama put on one of Daddy's favorite songs, Sam Cooke's "A Change Is Gonna Come." Daddy smiled and stood up slowly with his cane. "Gloria," he said, extending his hand, "dance with me." She giggled softly like a young bride again. They danced slowly in the dim living room light, their shadows swaying gently on the wall. For that moment, all the pain disappeared. The next day, we cleaned up. The decorations came down, the leftover food was packed and shared with neighbors. Daddy sat in his chair, peaceful. "Teresa," he said, "when you reach my age, you'll understand. The people who matter most are right here under your roof." He smiled again, not the forced one from yesterday, but a genuine, peaceful smile. "I had my celebration," he whispered. "Not with a crowd, but with love." The morning after the party felt heavy. The yard still carried traces of gold ribbons fluttering in the wind. Paper plates, leftover food, and half-empty water bottles scattered across the grass told a silent story of what should have been. Mama and I stood on the porch, sweeping quietly. The chirping of birds felt too cheerful for how we felt. "People can be cruel," Mama muttered, her broom pausing. "They take your kindness and forget it once they've eaten their fill of your help." I nodded. "Daddy doesn't deserve that." She sighed. "No, he doesn't. But sometimes, Teresa, silence teaches louder than applause." I looked toward the living room window. Daddy sat there again, his Bible open, his glasses perched low. His lips moved quietly, probably reading one of his favorite psalms. Later that evening, while I cleaned his study, I found a brown, leather-covered notebook tucked under his old typewriter. On the first page was written, "To be remembered is not a privilege. It's a reward earned through love." Each page was filled with memories, old stories, thoughts, and letters to people who had long forgotten him. One line caught my heart. "When I am gone, I don't want a crowd. I want peace. I want to rest knowing my children love one another. Tears welled in my eyes. Maybe his real celebration was never about guests. Maybe it was about us. My sister Diana, the perfectionist among us, couldn't stop blaming herself. I should have double-checked the invitations, she kept saying. Maybe they got lost. Diana, Marcus said gently, people just didn't care enough. She bit her lip, pacing. But Daddy trusted me. I wanted to make him proud. I hugged her. You did. He's not angry, just heartbroken. She sobbed. He's been good to everyone. Why did they do this to him? Sometimes, no answer can fix a wound. Marcus had gone to town the next day to return rented chairs and pay balances. There, he overheard two men from the community talking at the corner store. Did you hear about Richard Collins's party? One laughed. Only his family showed up. Serves him right, the other replied. He used to act like he was better than everyone. Marcus clenched his fists. He wanted to confront them but held back. When he returned home, he was furious. They said Daddy acted like he was better than them. Can you believe that? Daddy only smiled weakly when told. Son, he said, if you live long enough, people will twist even your kindness. Let them talk. My peace doesn't depend on their approval. A few days later, Pastor Williams, one of Daddy's oldest friends, stopped by. I'm sorry, Richard, he said, holding Daddy's hand. I should have come. I had a funeral that same day. Daddy nodded kindly. It's all right, my friend. You're here now. They spoke for hours, reminiscing about their youth, their military service, their wives, their faith. Before leaving, Pastor Williams said something that stayed with me. True celebrations happen in heaven's book, not in men's guest lists. That week, Mama tried calling a few of Daddy's old friends. Most didn't answer. One picked up but sounded indifferent. Oh, we heard about the birthday, the man said flatly. We thought it was a small family thing. Mama hung up quietly. A small family thing, she murmured bitterly. After everything he's done for them. Daddy overheard and said softly, Gloria, don't waste your energy chasing shadows. Let peace find us here. Word spread quickly in the neighborhood. Some people whispered that Daddy's party was a flop. Others said, his time has passed. But one elderly woman, Mrs. Fields, came by one afternoon with a basket of fruit. Mr. Collins, she said, you may not know this, but you taught my son how to fix a car when nobody else would. He's a mechanic now, taking care of us. Thank you. Daddy smiled genuinely for the first time since the party. You see, Teresa, he told me, kindness returns quietly, not always in the crowd, but in moments like this. Weeks passed, and something beautiful began to happen. The disappointment had drawn us closer as a family. Every evening, we gathered around Daddy's chair, listening to stories from his youth. He told us about how he met Mama at a church picnic, how he built his first house brick by brick, and how he lost his first business but started again. We laughed, cried, and learned. Maybe, Patricia said one night, this is what Daddy really needed, his family's ears and hearts. Mama smiled. Yes, baby. Sometimes disappointment is God's way of clearing the noise so love can speak. One evening, Marcus came home carrying a large, covered painting. He unveiled it before Daddy. It was a hand-painted portrait of him sitting in his chair, smiling, surrounded by his children. Marcus, you did this? I gasped. Yeah, he said, scratching his neck shyly. I wanted Daddy to have something to remember this moment, the real celebration. Daddy's eyes glistened. Son, this is worth more than all the guests in the world. He touched the canvas gently. I look happy here. You've captured something special, family. A month later, I found another set of letters Daddy had written to old friends but never sent. Some were apologies, others were blessings. He smiled when I showed them to him. I wrote those to clear my heart, he said. I didn't need their reply, I just needed peace. That night, he burned them gently in a small fire outside. Let the smoke carry my forgiveness, he whispered. Patricia, who had always been distant, busy with her law career, started visiting more often. She told me, I used to think success was about applause. But watching Daddy taught me that respect without love is emptiness. Daddy smiled proudly when she said that. My daughter, if my pain made you wiser, then it was worth it. All the grandchildren came over one weekend, filling the house with laughter. Daddy sat surrounded by them, telling tales of his boyhood. He taught them songs from the 1940s, told them how he met soldiers during the war, and warned them never to forget where they came from. Don't wait till you're old to love your people, he told them. Do it now. 6 months later, Diana suggested something bold. Let's plan a family reunion, just us, no outsiders. This time, it'll be about love, not show. Daddy nodded approvingly. That's the spirit. We started planning, small, peaceful, and heartfelt. The day of the reunion was simple yet beautiful. We gathered under a big oak tree in the backyard. No fancy decorations, just smiles, food, and music. Daddy looked happier than I'd seen him in months. I may have lost the crowd, he said, but I gained my family back. We all clapped. In the middle of the reunion, a car pulled up. Out stepped Mr. Thomas Green, one of Daddy's old colleagues, the same man who had mocked him months earlier. Richard, he said quietly, I came to apologize. I should have been there on your birthday. Daddy smiled. It's never too late to make peace. They hugged. Weeks later, Daddy received a letter from an old army friend living in Florida. The man had seen photos of Daddy's birthday online and wrote, Your smile reminded me of the strength you always carried. You're still my hero. Daddy read it aloud, tears filling his eyes. See, Mama said. Not everyone forgot. One cold morning, Daddy collapsed while watering the garden. Panic filled the house. We rushed him to the hospital. The doctor said, he's stable, but his heart is weak. He needs rest. We surrounded his bed, praying. When he opened his eyes, he smiled faintly. Don't cry. 90 years is a long journey. I'm not afraid of rest. Daddy came home after 2 weeks. The scare made us cherish him even more. He spent more time reading his Bible, humming old songs, and blessing us each morning. I don't regret that empty party, he said once. It taught me who truly stands with me. Marcus decided to record Daddy's stories on video. I want the world to know the man behind the name, he said. Daddy laughed. Make sure you get my good side. The recordings became family treasures, his voice, his laughter, his wisdom, all preserved forever. A year later, we celebrated Daddy's 91st, quietly at home. No invites, no stress, just love. We baked him a cake, sang hymns, and watched the sunset together. This, he said, smiling, is how I wish every old man could age, surrounded by peace. One morning, I found a letter addressed to all of us in his handwriting. My beloved family, when I am gone, don't weep long. Remember me with laughter, with food, with stories. I lived a full life because of you. Thank you for standing by me when the world didn't. We cried reading it, even though he was still alive. At 95, Daddy passed away quietly in his sleep, holding Mama's hand. His face looked peaceful, like a man finally home. We buried him beside the oak tree where we had held our reunion. The whole family came together, just as he wished. Now, years later, I sit under that same oak tree, watching my children play. On the wall of our living room hangs Marcus's painting, Daddy smiling among us. Sometimes I whisper, "You got your celebration, Daddy," not in numbers, but in hearts. And I can almost hear his gentle voice reply, "Family is the only crowd that never leaves." The house felt too quiet after the burial. The laughter, the songs, the prayers, all had faded into silence. Mama sat on the couch every morning, clutching Daddy's photo. She didn't cry loudly, she just sighed deeply, the kind of sigh that carries 40 years of love and memory. Diana handled the condolence visitors. Patricia cooked every day for those who stopped by. Marcus managed the finances and burial expenses. And me, I just sat in Daddy's chair each evening, running my hands along the worn armrest, wishing for one more story, one more smile. It felt strange. Daddy was gone, but his spirit filled every corner of the house. A week after the funeral, Mama called us to her room. She held Daddy's old Bible, the one with a cracked leather cover and faded gold lettering. "He told me to give this to you, Teresa," she said, handing it to me. I opened it carefully. Inside the front cover, he had written, "For Teresa, you are the memory keeper. Tell our story. Keep love alive." I cried hard that day. That Bible wasn't just a book. It was his final instruction, his way of passing the torch. A month later, we gathered to discuss Daddy's will. The lawyer, an old friend named Mr. Benson, read through the document. He had left his properties equally among his 5 children, but the house, the family home, was to remain with Mama until her death. There was one final line. "Do not sell what love built. Keep it for generations." Marcus nodded solemnly. "Then the Collins house stays ours forever." We all agreed. Time healed slowly, but Mama grew stronger each day. She started tending Daddy's garden again, watering the roses he'd planted 20 years ago. "Every time I water these," she said, smiling faintly, "I feel like he's right beside me, telling me I missed a spot." We all laughed, even through our grief. Mama became our anchor, firm, gentle, and wise. One night during dinner, Patricia spoke up. "I've been thinking, why don't we start a foundation in Daddy's name? Something that helps elderly people who are forgotten, just like he felt that day." Everyone's eyes lit up. "Yes," Diana said. "We can call it the Richard Collins Legacy Foundation." Marcus agreed. "We'll organize health checkups, food drives, and birthday visits for seniors." Mama smiled proudly. "Now that's how you keep a man's name alive." Months later, the foundation held its first outreach at a community center. Old men and women filled the hall, some in wheelchairs, others walking with canes, all wearing warm smiles. We distributed food, gifts, and blankets. Marcus gave a short speech. "My father once waited for people who never came," he said. "So today, we come for those who think the world has forgotten them." Tears rolled down Mama's cheeks. That night, as I packed up supplies, I whispered, "You'd be proud, Daddy." The following year, we hosted another event, the annual Collins Family Celebration, held every June on the date of Daddy's old birthday. No fancy guests, no invitations to outsiders, just families, elders, laughter, gospel music, and storytelling. Mama opened the gathering with a prayer. "Lord, thank you for teaching us that love is not measured by crowd, but by heart." Everyone said, "Amen." We danced, we ate, we sang, and for the first time, the hall was full not of guests, but of gratitude. At the second anniversary of the foundation, Marcus gave a moving speech that had everyone wiping tears. "My father's birthday was once an empty celebration," he said. "But his absence taught us the fullness of presence, the beauty of showing up for those who can't celebrate themselves. Daddy didn't need a crowd to be great. He needed love, and that's what we now give to others." The room erupted in applause. 5 years after Daddy's passing, Mama fell ill. She grew weaker by the week, her laughter softer, her steps slower. One evening, she called us all to her bedside. "My children," she said in a whisper, "I'm tired, but I'm happy. I saw all of you become one again. I saw peace where there was once pain. That's what your father prayed for." We held her hands, crying silently. She smiled faintly and said, "When you celebrate again, don't cry for me. Just sing the same song your father danced to. A change is gonna come." That night, she passed in her sleep. Years have passed. The Collins family home still stands strong. The foundation has expanded across states, helping thousands of elderly people. Every June, we still gather, under the same oak tree where Daddy once sat. We bring food, laughter, children, and music. And every year, we place 2 chairs side by side, one for Daddy, one for Mama, decorated with white roses. When the music starts, we play "A Change Is Gonna Come." The wind seems to dance with us, and in that moment, we feel them both, smiling, swaying, watching their family carry their love forward. As I stand there, now older, holding Daddy's old Bible, I whisper, "Your celebration never ended, Daddy. It only grew bigger, in hearts, in love, in generations." And somewhere deep in my spirit, I hear his voice say, "Family is forever, and love never dies."